Welcome, listeners, to a special holiday edition of the Fresh CrEd Podcast. As we celebrate the end of a remarkable year, we're excited to bring you a hand-picked collection of our most captivating episodes. Our holiday bundle, Global Insights and Industry Pioneers, features the stories and insights of extraordinary individuals who have shaped the produce industry in unique ways. From media experts to strategic leaders and global adventurers, each episode unveils a different facet of this dynamic industry. Join us as we embark on a festive journey through tales of innovation, leadership, and passion. Prepare to be inspired and entertained as we revisit some of the most engaging conversations of the past year. Let the journey begin.
Welcome back.
We are welcome back. It is so good to see you.
Welcome back to the award-winning The Fresh CrEd. That's what I had for you.
That was the intro.
That was the intro.
What do you mean award-winning?
The award-winning podcast, The Fresh CrEd.
Oh my gosh. Did we win something?
Apparently we did. Do you want to tell our audience about that?
I'd love to tell the audience.
Tell them the whole...
All right. So here's the thing. Okay. One, you guys maybe have noticed this cool-looking, beautifully crafted glass apple. We call this an apple, right? Yeah.
You may.
Crystal apple, right? So our honored guest that we have here with us, which I'll get into in a little bit, she and the company she's with, bestowed this award upon us. The wonderful organization of And Now You Know has an annual event. This is their second annual event called the Besties Award. Jordan.
It is an honor.
It is very much an honor. The award for sure, we're grateful for it. But
very exciting.
We're really excited to have you here. For having you here is awesome. And most everybody listening is going to know you. You are a known entity for sure in this business. Gosh, how long you and Rob been together working in this thing?
Oh, I joined the company in 2011, so 12 years. It's been a wild ride.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
God, 12 years, no kidding.
Yes.
Has it flown by?
It has. I mean, the company's gone through so many different sort of iterations and, team members. And, I mean, we really sort of grew up together, I think, in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
At least for me and for, a handful of, the leadership, it was, our first, real sort of, entry into our careers. And, I'd never managed anyone before. I'd, had a little writing desk in the corner for most of my life, and so we really sort of all grew up together. It was kind of fun to go through that adolescence and to where we are now.
So was that the original, were you part of the original group? Because it's Rob and Witt that started it, correct?
It was, so Rob started it, and there were a couple people, Carlos and then Witt were really sort of the foundation of the company. And then, I came in, maybe about 4 years after they started. And when I started with the company, and now you know was, I think, 2 newsletters a week and maybe a couple stories and a video and a few ads. And I was the first full-time writer. Witt actually, our vice president of sales, was the writer before I came on.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize
that.
Yeah,
I mean, and that's what I say when I talk about the team's gone through so many iterations. It's Witt was doing writing and sales and production. Brian LaForce was actually hired on as design and production, and now he's in sales. It's sort of, I don't know, we're this island of misfit toys that just worked out, And I always say that because I believe that the fact that literally I think everyone in the company is an artist at heart, from Rob, Witt's in film, Brian's a musician, Reed's a painter, an illustrator. Our whole entire design team has their own kind of knack. Same with the writing team. We all have our own personal writing on the side, and I think that sort of that creativity made us all sort of gravitate towards each other, and also I think it's really helped us differentiate a little bit. So.
Well, I mean, it is a great group. Love all you guys. I mean, it's been great to get to know you for all the years. I didn't realize, 12 years.
Yeah.
That's of course, I stop and think how long I've been rocking and rolling at SunFed, and it kind of shaking my head.
How long have you been at SunFed now?
2015, I joined.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, so it's been a minute I've been there.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, time gets away. It does fly by, but this business, enjoyable business to be in. I'm sure it's just as enjoyable on the writing side, and you get exposed to everybody there.
A lot of great people.
Oh, yeah, the people in the business.
I was feeling a little low energy, so I just stepped out on the show floor for a minute.
You low energy. That's so weird.
Well, coffee hadn't hit yet. It has now officially hit. And who do I run into? The first person I run into when I walk the door. Just guess. We're in California.
I'm going to guess. First person you run into as you walk in on the floor.
You might guess.
It's California.
California guy.
Okay. J.C. Myers.
John Pandel.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, you're talking energy.
Yeah, he gave me the full download of the luncheon, the keynote, the Q&A, speakers, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, that's a good, tap
It was a
into
good
that
one,
energy
so
for
I'm
sure.
hopping
We
now.
love us some John Pandel.
Yeah.
I love us some John Pandel.
And then I was laughing because you're talking about Island of Misfit Toys and being in California. Who knows? NorCal might be an island one day, so
Very
it's
true.
highly likely.
At some point, we're just going to slide right off. So, yeah.
But look, you said you didn't have a manager, so you're a writer. Mm-hmm. Produce, is that what you went to school? You wanted to write about produce? Is that was the whole plan?
It's a funny story how I got, how I joined the company. But yeah, no, I studied creative writing in college. I got my bachelor's, and then I got my master's in English creative writing.
Where'd you go to school?
Sac State.
Okay.
So yeah, I got my bachelor's and master's there. And then I was like, oh, now what am I going to do, right? Like I always knew I wanted to write, but is writing going to pay the bills, that sort of thing. So I went out looking for a full-time writing job, and I came across this cute little ad on like Craigslist, and it was like 3 lines.
So seriously, was it Craigslist?
It was Craigslist.
Come on.
Yeah. And I mean, Sacramento, slim on full-time writing jobs, and so I was curious more than anything. It was just like, can work full-time. I think it said like has college degree, and like one more thing, nothing about the business. No contact information. You have to reply to like the post host or whatever. And at that point, I'd bartended my way through college, and so that's what I was doing. So I answered the post, and at the time it was Whit Grabetus on the other end of it, and he was just like, yeah, why don't you come on in for an interview? And he gives me the address.
Sounds more like a treasure hunt so far.
I know. Or something worse.
Yeah, I was actually thinking that, but okay.
Right? Yeah. The address is like a dark alley somewhere. No, he gave me the address. Wouldn't tell me. He's like, yeah, just come on in. We'll tell you all about the company, that sort of thing. And so
wow, you're adventurous.
I did. Well,
Of course, you really needed a job.
I gave my mom, my dad, like the address that he gave me. And I said, if you don't hear from me in an hour, come find me. But I did a drive-by to make sure it was a building and not like an empty lot, right? So I go in, yeah, I go in and like, if you're watching right now, I open the door and Whit's standing there and he's got his mustache and he's got like a baby blue polo with like the collar popped, and I'm like, what am I walking into? But no,
just one polo, not layered polos.
It wasn't.
Okay, you've seen that good look, right?
Yeah.
I think that's more of an East Coast thing, though.
No, I think it may be more of a '90s thing.
Okay.
But that was.
Well, yeah, I mean '90s, but
yeah,
maybe it was more East Coast
90s
'90s.
kids,
Okay,
but yeah.
sorry.
I walked in and the team interviewed me, and it was actually an office building with people working. There were lights on,
So were you like the first person to answer the Craigslist that is like, hey, and you're hired?
No,
The fax machine was humming.
I don't even know, to be quite honest. But yeah, they brought me in for like a second interview, which is another funny story for another time. But yeah, and then I started there part-time, still bartending, and then I went full-time, I guess maybe the beginning of like 2012. And yeah, first full-time writer, and then we slowly sort of built the team.
That's awesome.
From there, yeah.
Awesome. I did not know that story, so.
Yes, Craigslist.
So
What's the full staff now? How many folks are we talking about?
Oh God, we're a little over 20.
Well,
yeah, we've always kind of flown mean and lean.
Yeah.
So it's the way to do it. We're quick, we're agile, and yeah, it's fun.
So now fast forward, right? Things, you've become a very, like I said, well-known within the business. You're a great writer. Love reading your piece that you do, the editorial that you do every month in the Snack magazine. Fabulous. It's always a fun read, right? Like I say, usually it's, it's not like, hey, tomatoes are this or that. I mean, it's really more life-focused, right? I mean, I like how you twist in the produce and life and turn that into it. But Just curious, any recent changes in your life? Anything going on exciting?
Yes, I now have a 4.5-month-old daughter.
Awesome.
Her name is Nico Blue Wright, and
Congratulations.
Thank you. This is her first trade show. She's hopefully going to do a spin on the floor with me if she allows me to. The little tyrant.
So that's a beautiful name, Nico Blue Wright. Any history on that?
You know, my husband picked out the name. He was much more passionate about that name than I was about any of the choices I had.
Okay.
And so I figured if it would buy me, a couple nights of sleep, he can take it.
Figured that was
and
cool.
then I got to give her middle name, which is Blue. And so he loves it because it's sort of, there's different iterations of what the meaning is, but it's sort of like a champion of the people in Latin, and he's really always loved that
Oh, Nico
name.
is. All right, very nice.
Yeah.
And so with that, 'cause so you were to be on this podcast a year ago, actually, when we were at IFPA. You and I had agreed, and most people don't know. I mean, you're a writer, but you're not a big fan of the whole what we're doing right here. This is
Absolutely
not
not.
something that you're like really.
I'm like sweating under here.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you prefer to be the writer behind the scenes, put it in print.
I have
versus
never been on this side of the camera. I'm pretty sure, unless it's been for like a little 5-second video that we've made or something. I've always been on the other side of it, miking you guys up. So it's
Well, get used to it.
I'm panicking a little bit actually, but I mean I've known you now for quite some time.
Yeah.
So
yeah, because I was going to say you begrudgingly agreed to do it
Yes.
a year ago or so, and then of course, like I say, there were other things going on in your life with the new baby coming and taking some time away from work. That didn't work out, so we had Rob on. So this is kind of making up for that. But even coming up to this, right? It was funny.
That was a good interview too, though.
That was an
Rob,
that was great.
he's got a good story. He's got a lot of good stories.
I learned quite a bit about
Well,
Rob.
yeah,
I didn't know.
I had no idea that the Wall Street thing and
Yeah.
how he came to get in this business. But of course, family in Bakersfield, so he's got the farmer background component. But
Definitely.
But the baby, leading up to this, right? You were even like, look, I mean, it's super dynamic with Nico, right? And we got some flexibility or whatever. So, for you, now, how long have you been back? Have you gone back to work?
I went back to work a few weeks ago. So she is slowly letting me go back to work. But it's been tricky. I mean, we didn't have a really good strategy for how I would go back. I didn't really have like the daycare situation like set up. We figured we'd do it on the fly like I do most everything, and then realized there's not doing things on the fly with a newborn is not easy. So my husband took a few weeks off of work to help me transition back, and so we're pulling in the grandparents and getting a babysitter, and hopefully sometime in the next couple of weeks we'll have sort of the schedule set up. But I mean, it's tricky. I thought for sure, somehow I thought that I'd just be able to have her, like on a little activity mat next to me, and I'd be sitting on my laptop typing stories all day.
That's not the way it goes?
And, I thought so, but absolutely not. And so a lot of it's been, I think the first week it was mostly me holding her and then on my phone writing like an editor's note, on like the little notes section, and you end up doing what you can. I mean, it's testing me in these really like amazing and beautiful ways, but it's also, like I think I was telling you earlier this week, it's amplified like all of like the best and worst qualities that I have. It's like I'm type A, I'm a control freak, but I'm also like really sympathetic and compassionate, and I just feel like this cartoon version of myself I just feel a bit unmoored. And I mean, everyone in the beginning, tried to tell me what it would be like and how hard it would be, and the buyer's remorse, and
I haven't heard that one.
But no, and just how tough it would be. But yeah, actually being in it now, it's unlike anything I've obviously ever experienced, and it's beautiful. I wasn't sure I was ever going to be a mother. I always sort of entertained the idea, but it wasn't until I met my husband, Matt, that I was like, I want to have a child with you, So I think in a lot of ways, I think that's how it works for a lot of people. Like the person makes you kind of want to take that next step in life, because what a huge responsibility. And I knew going into it, having a lot of friends with, with kids, and And my brother actually, him and his wife just gave birth to their daughter 2 months after Nico. So the cousins will be 2 months apart, which is cool.
So cool.
Wow.
But it is tough, and it has changed the way that I want my truth to be in the world. I mean, it's just completely flipped the script on me in so many ways. And I feel in a lot of ways like I'm growing up in a different way all over again. And it's really beautiful, and it is terrifying, and a bunch of other expletives. But it's wild. I mean, you guys can relate?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think back, you know, Tanya, when you take the baby home, right? So you're in this hospital,
Yeah.
and then literally, you know,
They turn you loose.
well, yeah, for a car, you got to
With a
take a
life.
test, you got to go and watch film, you got to practice, you know, driving a car. There's all these rules.
Driver's ed.
There's driver's ed for a baby. You know, you just go have it. They put a car seat in the back of the car, and the next thing you know, you're strapped up and taking them home. And it's like, oh wow, this is a life that we've got with. But yeah, it is. Yeah, it's super rewarding. You know, like you and I talked the other day. You talked about the buyer's remorse or whatever. It's one of those things where you know, and I always felt like this. It's like people that have kids, they tell you, oh, they're great. It's the most wonderful. It's, you know, fabulous. And then you get them, and you're like, what? I think that somebody was telling me something, but the reality of it is yeah, you go through that journey. It is such an amazing experience. Now, you know, when you're in the middle of it, there's obviously times when it's like, oh my God, this may kill me, or
Yeah.
you know, somebody's going to die in this situation. But
And it's a lifelong pursuit.
Yeah.
I mean, I say it's super hard, then it gets easier, then it gets super hard again. So, yeah.
But super rewarding, you know, fortunately where I'm at in life with my kids all grown for the most part. They're older. I don't know about grown, but they're older. No, but for all of them, you know, you look back.
They're all of voting age.
They're of all voting age, and you know, now I've got granddaughters, which is wonderful, and that's, but you look back on the time and growing up, and you start to forget about anything that was bad. That's the other thing. You only remember, you know, most of the high points, right? And that's good. And we get together now, and it's, yeah, we have a good time. So, for sure. But yeah, you know, but again, you know, we talked about the show, and it's relevant because there's a lot of people like you. In this day and age is even different from when we were trying to bring up kids. I mean, still, Ed's kind of in the midst of it with his daughter, but it's a different time to be bringing up kids.
It really is.
You know, and trying to have a career, and then all the stuff that's going on, and the influence of social media and everything.
It's
you got a tricky roads to navigate that I didn't have to deal with, or my wife and I didn't have to deal with. So
Definitely. I mean,
there are also more tools, more options. There's more of everything, good and bad.
Yes. I mean, it's that whole like confirmation bias thing. You can go out there and find evidence or a story or you know, data or research to support really any sort of like parenting paradigm or program you want to, you know, it's wild. It's hard to get a straight answer out there in like the medical community because it's pretty amazing. And it's also a gift though, right? You know, so because we know so much more today than like my parents knew. Like I talked to my mom and my dad, and I'm, you know, telling them how we were hoping to raise her, or just like, you know, little things here and there. And, you know, they're constantly just saying, you know, how, we had no idea. We shouldn't have put you in between us while we were sleeping. That's not a thing
that's
anymore.
not what you do. You don't do that.
I've said this before, but I mean, I feel like I'm at the school, or my wife's definitely at the school a lot more than I am. And I've said it before, fully confident that my parents aren't listening to this podcast, that I don't even think they knew where the school was. At least my dad didn't. So, and I feel like I'm there every other day.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, you did not. We didn't. And certainly, I grew up in the 70s. The parents were pretty much MIA the entire. If you ever seen the show Bad News Bears,
Yes.
that's not that. The kids pretty much were like that, right? I mean,
That's free. That's what they call free range.
It was free range children back in those days.
Yeah.
And you know, we bumps and bruises. There were no safety measures. I mean, as a toddler, I stood up next to my mother in the car, so there was not even no car seat.
Yes.
I was standing up next to her. The only car seat, the only seatbelt was her arm going like this, and she was pretty good at it. She was actually very effective at
I used to like to lay in the back window dash.
Oh yeah, that's another classic.
That's definitely.
We had like the old Lincoln station wagon that had like the seats that folded down and faced each other.
Yeah.
And we'd just be around there rolling
Those are
around.
cool.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah. I mean, it is, and that's like one of the things that I hope there's like, it's hard to say that there's going to be like a renaissance of it, but I mean, when we were kids, we were out running out in the streets until like the sun went down. It's a different world that we live in now, and I'm hoping somehow we can get back there, because I can't imagine. But that was one of the big questions I had to ask myself is, it's, not that I was getting up there, but I'm 40. I had Nico when I was 41, and it's, like, am I sure I want to bring Nico into this world? But there's so much beauty in it still, and and maybe you should just contribute to that a little bit.
No, for sure. And so you mentioned you're 41. How do you take care of yourself?
Well, if I go back to before I gave birth to Nico, I had this whole idea of how it would be, right? It's like I was, I work out every day, I meditate, I write, get lots of sleep. And now, it's, I'm lucky if I get in, like a 5-minute meditation. But I mean, honestly, for me, it was what's always been like a huge source of, of really stabilizing me and my equilibrium and that sort of thing. And my equanimity is working out. So as soon as my doctor gave me the go-ahead, I put Nico in the jogging stroller and I run every morning. And that does as much for, my head as it does for, like my physical health, and my emotional health. Like, it's always just between the endorphins, and it's how I process things every morning. I get out there and all of the voices in the committee in my head, they sort of quiet down, and sort of it's where I do my troubleshooting in the morning. It's how I set the stage for my day. And I really do believe that what you do in the first 30 minutes or hour of your day sets the tone for the rest of your day, right? So if I get up in a frenzy and I'm bouncing off the walls, inevitably I will crash by about, like 4 or 5 o'clock. But if I get up and I can meditate, get in a run, or, get on like my yoga mat, the day is just, it's like water.
Yeah.
More so, right? And I'm not fighting to get upstream. There's more doors that are open, less walls, and so that's really important to me, is what the first couple hours of my day looks like. And it's usually about the only time during the day that I really have any control, considering the crazy life that we have now. But it's made me a lot more patient and flexible.
Yeah.
But I do think that, between like the diet and like working out.
So what's the diet look like? What's a couple of things either that you avoid, and then a couple of things that you think are essential?
Essential. Well, it's been tough because I used to eat, oh my gosh, like 4 crowns of broccoli a day.
Okay.
And I'm breastfeeding, and Nico, broccoli does not agree with Nico.
Ah.
Yes, so I've had to swap in for other things. So I'm now an asparagus and spinach girl.
Okay.
Yes, and because I was a big produce fan before we even got into the business, and so, and
cauliflower?
Really,
Any cauliflower?
Cauliflower? Not much cauliflower. I'm trying to sort of stay away from the cruciferous veggies. I think that's the thing, is that she gets gassy,
Yeah.
But and lots of fruit. I eat probably like 3 or 4 apples a day.
Okay.
Lots of water, lots of like oat products like oatmeal, oat milk. But I mean, more so than any other time in my life, like what I eat changes the way that I feel, my energy. I mean, it's really everything. And I also love donuts, so we try and keep those too.
Oh,
Instead
really?
Of getting, yes.
So you don't abstain from?
I do not. No, I do not. Absolutely not. My husband and I have decided, instead of getting like a dozen every day on the weekend, we're just going to get a couple each. So we've just reined it in. Moderation, right?
Yeah,
I wasn't expecting that.
I wasn't.
That took a quick turn.
The donuts, this morning, like out by the keynote. Oh, it was a joy.
I've tried to abstain from as much as I can, that kind of stuff, because I'm not really good with moderation on anything.
You had some sourdough bread last night.
I did.
I'm not either. I'm like a pendulum. It's either donuts or 4 crowns of broccoli. Yeah, there's no real sort of like, I'll have like a small slice of
donut flavored broccoli.
That would be amazing.
Is that what you're going to say?
Well, you know what? You got cotton candy grapes. Maybe
True, you never know.
Oh, man.
Ideas.
but it probably wouldn't still. I like broccoli, like asparagus. What I'm about to say is not to say, but things that are like a donut, which is just crazy good, right?
Yeah.
The sugar. Anything that tastes crazy good just can't be. If they took broccoli and all of a sudden made it taste like a donut,
Right.
somehow I don't think it would be still good for you. I think it might taste great, but I don't think it would still
Yeah.
be good for you. You got to have some kind of bitter or something there that gives
Fair.
you some idea that the broccoli is, it's something's good for you, right?
Yeah.
And you talk about so the exercise thing, meditation.
The running, I had a quick question. So you're a thinking runner.
Yes.
Okay, because there's people that I've talked to that run, they say they think about nothing the whole time.
I'm a
So that's
survival
never you?
runner.
That is.
They just blank
No.
out.
No, that would be wonderful though. I would love that. No, it's always ever since I was younger. It's always been time to process for me, I think. Except when I hit like that kind of runner's high, and then you just sort of like float for a little while, and that's nice. But for me, it's always been a tool, a tool with a great amount of benefit in that area. So.
Yeah, so I run with like a podcast or something going on. I feel like that I'm gonna spend my time. I've never actually been one of those people that enjoy running, but it became the most efficient workout. And like you say, it does all those things, right? If you get in a habit of doing it, you just feel better.
Exactly.
Right, once you start getting in that regimen. But yeah, for me, I've got to have somebody or something yakking in my head that I'm listening to because, my whole focus is whatever, is just trying to get through it. It's like, oh my God, there's no.
There are those days.
Yeah.
There are those days. I will tell you that I've never, I've always felt better after a run, never worse. So that always gets me to it. And I'm an all or nothing person too. So it's, I've had to sort of like cut myself some slack. Like I can't go out and run 5 miles every time. If I can just get in 10 minutes,
Yeah,
if I can just break a
how far
sweat.
do you run?
These days, it's about 4 miles.
Okay.
Depending upon how Nico's doing, it's her first nap of the day, so she really gets to call it. And as soon as she's up, she's like,
Time to go home.
yeah, exactly.
yeah, the run is over.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, I've never been like a marathon runner or anything like that. Like it's always been sort of, like 5 or 6 miles, enough to just really sort of like quiet the noise in my head, get a really good sweat, and then allow me to have a couple donuts at the end of the day. So.
Yeah, and you do feel better about the donuts.
Yes.
See, my donut is an old fashioned.
Oh.
So
yeah.
and that's why I
I'd
run.
rather drink his calories.
Yeah, exactly. It's just how I am. Somehow I justify the old fashioned. My wife's always like, I don't understand. You kind of stay away from sugar, but boy, that sure doesn't seem to affect your old fashions. And I was like, well, you got to have some. You got to let yourself up off the
I
mat.
feel like if you abstain, you end up eating like 12 donuts.
Exactly.
Or having 12 old fashions like at the end of the week. So.
Oh,
yeah.
that's not good.
Oh, we are in produce, so run with it. Yeah.
Well, look, I've seen the time waiver over there, so we're closing down on the time.
I feel like we just got started.
We did just get started, and it's the
I wasn't
worst
talking about
part.
jumping
of
rope. I love jumping rope. I think if you don't, it's
I
something
haven't
you can
double
manage.
dutched in a
Like it's
while.
high.
Double Dutch.
I'm sorry, double dutch.
Double Dutch.
Oh.
Can you double Dutch?
No, but I've got a speed rope. I've got a couple different ropes.
He looks like Rocky.
Oddly,
He likes to
I'm
do
actually pretty good
his
at it.
channel
I have a good
Rocky.
rhythm. I play the drums. I
He does a video.
coordinated, so I can actually jump rope pretty well. So I've got a couple different ropes, and for me, I'm not a runner. It's I just can't. I think it's boring as hell. I like to ride my bike. I like to do other things, but you get my heart. I can get my heart rate up like that. So
Yeah.
I'll literally in between calls, I'll go out on the front porch if I'm working from home, jump rope for a little while, come back inside, do some push-ups, get back on the
That's
phone.
a really good idea.
Because it's just
for
right.
Sure.
Like you can get a heck of a workout just right in your front yard or your backyard.
Exactly. I'm jumping around for 5 minutes. I think I can go for a couple minutes at a time before I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's been a pleasure. It's
Thank you.
time has gone quickly. I hope the experience is going to be good enough that we can have you come back and we can.
For part 2.
Well, yeah, we want to see how Nico's progressing and how that's going and how the
You guys have
job.
made
and-
it painless. Thank you. You know how terrified I was. So.
Well, next time we'll actually record. We'll hit
Yeah,
record.
I was going to say, Mason was
This is
saying
just the
also,
trial run.
this is like the practice deal. This really wasn't the show. So,
Yeah.
but you did great on this. No, been a pleasure. Thank you so very
Thank you.
much. Thank you guys for everything. Thank you again for the Bestie Award. That we really are
Absolutely.
super honored
That's-
to be able to win that.
That's a big motivation for us.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you
Till the end
again.
of the day.
And I hope you have an outstanding organic produce summit.
Thank you.
And Nico makes the rounds out there and gets to meet everybody. You got to bring her by because we'd love to meet her, okay?
I will.
All right. Take care, Jordan. We'll see you.
Thank you.
Up next, another episode filled with insightful conversations from the forefront of the produce world.
I mean, we just had a great interview with Kim. We got a bunch of gifts. I've got some tattoos, apparently. A tattoo sleeve that I'm going to be putting on here pretty soon.
Yeah, that tattoo is going to go nice with that eagle you got on your back.
You remember the eagle?
I remember the
eagle. You remember that night when I got it?
I do remember the night.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure you do, but...
We can talk about that later.
Yeah, no, that was a great interview with Kim. Learned a lot. I am beyond excited about this next guest. I mean, we have a freaking produce legend coming in here. You know,
I don't know how you did it. I don't know how you did it.
You know, I had to pull some serious strings to get this next guest.
I did.
I mean, you know, I had to write a couple of letters, a few different things.
You did.
But, you know, we are happily joined by our good friend, Mr. Tomas Gonzalez. Tomas, what's going on, buddy?
Man, I'm telling you, I'm excited to be here.
Yeah.
Happy to be in that elite group of people that you selected this.
Wow.
Just the fact you threw my name in the hat are just beyond my control here.
Yeah.
It's got to go on your LinkedIn profile. We probably need to start like an alumni
of being on the show.
Oh man, that can be
It's a freaking great idea.
That's life changing.
Yeah.
That could change some career trajectories. I'm not sure which direction that trajectory is.
Yeah, I'm more concerned about some of the trajectory we're putting people on, not in the right way. So,
But besides all that, I do want to see that eagle tattoo that he said.
Yeah, we'll take a picture after.
Don't run away from
Yeah.
it because it's still there.
the feathers actually feel real based on all the hair he's got back
It
there.
was many years ago, so it looks more like a vulture than a turkey vulture instead of an eagle at this point.
Yeah,
but it's there.
Oh my God, yeah. So, Tomas, good to have you here, and got a lot of ground to cover. I mean, you're a guy that has so much we can talk about.
Here we go.
PepsiCo in Venezuela, to the Florida state government, to now the biggest retailer in the world. I mean, it's a pretty good trajectory, and you've had a couple of different stories. I mean, I don't know which one I want to spend time on the most. I mean, because I really like the Venezuelan stories, but those are a little more edgy. Okay. Yeah, edgy. So I want to know about you, young Tomas, and Cuba, and how in the world you got started out. Tell us a little bit about that.
Did you put the subtitles on that I requested before we started?
Yeah, Mason's
Because
got
I got to tell you guys, if you miss something, you better rewind it and rewatch it slowly, and don't try to rip lips because it's not going to work.
Or just write us and we'll send the transcript.
But I like the way I like to put it, Craig, is I think I've been in pretty much all sides of the industry from all angles.
Right.
You know, start as a grower, you know, sugar cane you call it a processor, you know.
Mhm.
Go to the regulations with the government, regulating the industry, and then going into a retail industry is really I've seen it all from all angles. You know, in fact, you can put it that way. You know, starting out when I was a kid, I mean, 4 years old, I was sitting on top of a grate that was being pulled by bulls, you know, to go a little deeper into the ground so we can plant corn.
So you were the weight for the
a little weight for the. It wasn't much weight then. It's weight now. I mean, you're gonna need some heavy bulls to pull that. But yeah, it was starting.
So hang on, wait a second. So did they make like a car seat for that?
No.
There's probably some baling wire.
Yeah,
there's no car seat.
No
car seat.
Did you have a car seat when you grew up? You didn't have a car seat.
No, I didn't have a car seat, but I didn't also sit on.
You didn't have seat belts when you
I didn't
grew
sit
up.
on the plow either as they drug it through the ground.
I sat on the plow. I sat on the plow, and then shooting up birds with Slim Jam at the same time. So, but it was, my family, entire family, always been, farmers. We grew up in a farm, middle of nowhere, no running water, no electricity. Neighboring other farmers. Back. My grandparents came from Spain, and they were farmers too. They were cattle ranches and farmers, and then it was an interesting story that I learned not long ago, how my parents get to meet each other.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it was, and a lot of people may know a lot of history that I'm gonna refer to now, but it's the way he interacted with my family in it was kind of interesting. My granddad on my father's side, my granddad on my father's side, they had neighboring farms. Fidel Castro took over Cuba January 1st, 1959, and then he started taking land away from farmers and breaking it into pieces and keeping the biggest portion, this and that. So my father thought that he was another Castro, and he went into the mountains with guns to fight Fidel Castro. So he gets caught in the act, he gets thrown into jail, and then his dad comes to my mother's dad and asks my grandfather, hey, I need one of your daughters to marry my son who's in jail, so he gets a reduced sentence.
Oh my gosh!
And
you didn't know this.
I wasn't born back then,
Usually neighbors.
Well, I didn't know that because honestly, my dad passed 2 years ago, and in that process, my mom, she told me the story. I didn't know that. I just learned that 2 years ago.
That's crazy.
And so in one of the conjugal visits, there come little Tomasito, and then I was. It was
Tomasito.
It was really interesting.
Exactly.
But yeah, keep working in farms. We still had a little bit of land, and then since I had like 6 uncles on my mother's side, 4 on my father's side, and everybody kept a little portion. When one was the pig farmer, the other one had chickens, the other one had and negotiating among our family was also a struggle, just so you know, because one does the beans, the other one plantains and ethnic roots and things like that. It's the, stuff we eat in Cuba.
Mm-hmm.
And so grew up, loving farms. So I became an agronomist. I went to school and I studied agriculture engineering, and it wasn't until 1993 when my father decided to, he needed to do something for me, not for him. Because, when he went to American Consul, because we came as an exile, political prisoners. Mm-hmm. And when he went to an interview, they asked him, why you leave, why do you want to leave? He goes, I don't want to leave. You take that man with a beard out of the country, I stay. You choose, either you let me go or you take him out, one of the two.
Right.
But again, I say, immigrant coming here over 22, 23 years old.
So it was 93, right?
It was 93.
Yeah.
And, so you do everything that everybody does when you first come here. You sell newspapers, do valet parking, you do everything you can so you can go to school.
Right.
Because that's the only thing I learned since I was a kid, that I was taught, you got to go to school, you got to get better, you got to study, you got to learn stuff, And I was too old to become a professional athlete. I couldn't join the military because, I wasn't a United States, citizen. I had to wait sometime. And then, so went back to school, and because the son of the family connection, they knew I was coming from Cuba, and I knew about sugarcane. I was hired to run a 500,000 hectares of sugarcane in Venezuela for Pepsi-Cola company.
500,000 hectares.
Yeah.
And that's 2.5. So for those you don't know, it's about 2.5 acres per hectare. So that's a hell of a lot of sugarcane.
We were not making sugars out of the cane. We're just processing the cane to take the sucrose for Pepsi-Cola product.
For PepsiCo, yeah.
And it was very interesting.
How long did you do that?
I did that for about 2 years. 2 years, 2 times robbed at gunpoint for a watch or something like that. I said, I had enough. So
after a second robbing at gunpoint, he thought, you know what, maybe I'll
and
take
his third watch.
His third watch.
Running out of watch, so I had enough.
Why the hell wouldn't you quit wearing a watch? I mean, at some point you'd be like, I'm not going to wear it.
Or just wear 2.
So
that's not a bad idea. Work too. You
Right,
come
dude.
take
Yeah,
one.
take one.
Take
Just
one, I
leave
got
with the
another.
other one. So.
But it's it's another experience. You look at a kid 15 years old pointing a gun at you. You look at their face and you're thinking about, man, this guy. Take you just to watch. You sure you can take some
whatever
more.
else you want. But yeah. And,
But yeah, that was another. Came back to the States and I was hired by the Department of Agriculture, where I worked for almost 15 years for the Department of Agriculture and the plant industry, regulating a lot of citrus movements in the state of Florida. Florida got hit back in the days with canker and greening, and there was a lot of regulations and rules set up by the government. Working in new varieties, different root stocks. It's a good experience, but then wanted something different. I met a guy from Walmart, and here I am 13 years later. By the way, July 5th was my 13-year anniversary.
well,
With
congratulations.
Walmart.
Yes,
13
sir.
years.
13 years.
Very nice.
And counting.
And you've been there in the Florida office all 13,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
But again, worked every step of the way
Yeah.
with Walmart.
Well, a lot of folks have come through that office
all
down
different,
there.
yeah. Quite a few.
You've
yeah.
had an opportunity to work with a lot of different individuals coming through.
Very good people.
Yeah.
Very good people.
No, it's a hell of a story, Tomas. It really is. And like I say, I don't know how many people know about it. And but you really came from. I mean, I can only imagine, right? In '93, when the family comes over, brand new to the country.
Yeah.
There was probably not jobs, I'm guessing, waiting for everybody. It was basically you had to go find something to hustle.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And, did you do cars? What'd you do? What was your first gig here in the States?
I actually worked at a laundromat pressing clothes.
Okay.
I got burned in several places. I could show. It's like a professional place. It's not you use a press iron. You use, but it was you had to do like 350 pieces a day. I remember it was like $3.15 an hour.
Boy.
And I was going into like the 300 and getting close to the 350, like 337, I think was the number. And the guy comes back and looked at the pile that I was done with, and he goes, no bueno, you're going to have to do that again. Looked up at him and I go, man, Jesus, I'm selling newspapers tomorrow. Yeah, it was, golly.
Yeah.
But, it's things that you go through, and then making time so I could have gone to school at night or even on the weekends, to try to get better myself. I didn't know any English, It's not like I know a lot now, but it was hard to communicate. It was, even though in Miami, not
So
much.
were you guys in Miami at that time?
Yeah, I was in Miami, but I didn't spend much time in Miami. Like I said, from there I went to Venezuela, and then when I came back, I lived in Central Florida in the beautiful Polk County. And I got to go to Florida Southern College, by the way.
I was going to ask, where'd you go to school?
Florida Southern, yeah. Florida Southern
Florida
College.
Southern, nice.
Yeah. And I went for citrus. I took a citrus program there, which very proud of it. Very good program, very good school.
All right, so I know Walmart keeps you kind of busy, but you occasionally get some free time. What do you enjoy doing?
Man, I tell you, I got 3 beautiful kids and a beautiful wife, and spend time with them. I like to go fishing, play a little bit of golf when I can. But family time is nothing beat that. It's the best there is.
Yeah. Well, I know you're kind of an avid cook. You cook quite a bit.
Oh, you're gonna get into that now?
Oh, I
just
got a
saying,
recipe
he's a-
recently.
food is what
I've got
this
a
is all
good
about.
chimichurri recipe for you.
With
A
the
friend-
Cuban twist in it.
A friend gave me, yeah. I'll try it out first, and I'll let you know if I like
You
it.
try and let me know, but I like to see you in the process when you
Well, I'll video.
preparing it, because you're a high tech guy. You can do that.
So yeah, we should take that.
You
So
tell me what I did wrong.
So Tomas, we were talking cryptic here. Ed was joking. The good friend that gave him this chimichurri recipe was.
Oh, you talking about the one
Mhm.
And so
Oh.
we're gonna have to. So
It sounded like he was making it up as he. It sounded like he was making it up as he went.
He probably was.
So I want to make it and see what it comes out to be.
So, but here's the deal. Here's what we're going to do. You're going to make that, right? We're going to check it out, and that'll be for the listener. It'll be the follow-up to this. Right?
Okay, follow up. I'll follow up.
We'll do a follow-up on
Chimichurri,
push that
check.
out. Well, I do. Well, the reason I want one thing, so I know you're a cook. We'll get a recipe. You do a lot of that kind of stuff. But you mentioned your kids, and you've got 2 daughters and a son. Son's in the military, quite accomplished musician. What a little bit about those guys.
Good guys. Good guy. Really, I've been fortunate with the kids. They turned out to be okay.
Yeah.
I think there was a hurricane, and I don't remember what year exactly. But so my son was still in high school, and he saw the Army Reserve helping people and breaking, making ways for emergency vehicles to go and deliver food and stuff. And he goes, "Dad, I want to do that. I want to help out." So he signed in the military, and I believe he's in the he signed again for another 6 years. So he's in the 6 or 7 year now in the Army Reserve. But then he switched because he, like you say, he likes to play music. He wants to teach. He wants to be a music educator, a band director or something. And he switched to the Army Reserve musical band. And
right.
It was pretty good. 4th of July, my wife and my daughter, we went to invited us over to his little concert, and I was like, wow, he can really do that. I mean, you gotta think about it. These guys only meet like once a month, and then to put all that music together in that one meeting, and do shows here and there and play different instruments and different bands, classical music, rock and roll, salsa.
Do you play an instrument?
No, not me. My brother does, and a lot of people in my family do, but not me. I'm the ag guy, man.
He's the ag guy. He's the food guy.
He was the plowman.
He's the plowman. Yeah, he was busy.
Yeah.
He was busy sitting on a plow while everybody else was learning how to play the guitar. So, and you got a daughter just graduated college.
No, she finished in Tennessee, and then she moved down to Florida to continue her education. Is in the medical field, going in there, and then have the my baby girl Sudi, who's just about to be 12, on August, and super good kids.
She's gonna be a super tennis star. Is that the plan?
Yeah, hopefully so. We'll see where that goes.
Yeah, no,
It's where all the academies are at in Florida.
What's that? Florida.
Tennis academies.
Yeah.
So
they've got that. What's the school for elite athletes there?
EA or
it's up around Tampa, I think.
Something like that. Yeah.
EA Sports or whatever. So they're not going. Just you're in the right place at that Florida deal. Although, I'm telling you, I'm trying to get you to move out west. It's the weather, but get out of that humidity.
He likes the hurricanes.
It's definitely different.
He likes hurricanes once in a while to kind of mix things up.
Yeah,
that's what he was saying. Yeah,
it does
keep things exciting.
Yeah,
he does. That's the truth.
Well, there's nothing boring about South Florida, that's for sure. I don't care. With or without a hurricane, there is great food, a lot of energy, and a lot going on. So not a bad spot, although it's just too bad they got all that humidity down there. But
you get used to it.
You get used to it.
Just like by now, listener got used to my accent.
Yeah. They're understanding you completely clearly right now. It's not a problem. We won't have to do any subtitles.
People adjust to the different. Yeah.
But no, Tomas, seriously, really appreciate your friendship, and it's certainly glad that you were able to come on and be on the show with us today. Because, like I say, I a lot of people know you from the business side of the world, and know about you in the ag space with Walmart, right, as a buyer. But I don't think a lot of them really realize how much history's behind it. We didn't even get into some of how your life experiences, influence what you know. I mean, your success at PepsiCo really was influenced about some of how you had to live in Cuba.
Exactly.
You learned from that,
Lack of resources and, making the best of everything with what you have. You go to other places and then you take what you learn from your life experiences, you apply it to a different crop or whatever it is. I created different projects of fertilization programs using organic matter, to substitute for chemical fertilizer, and it was a success.
Yeah.
It was published in a magazine. Who would have known? I go, Jesus, this is what I used to do.
That's what we were doing in Cuba
Day
because
to
we
day.
had to.
If I didn't do it back then, I wouldn't even
Oops.
survive.
Yeah.
It's things that sometimes we take for granted. It's amazing how valuable it is. And I have a ton of stories about it. I'm sure you all have too.
Well, we're gonna do a follow up.
Yeah.
This is gonna need to have a follow up, and we'll have to do another one of these. But because I've learned a bunch of stuff today too. I think, as we were saying before, I think folks really, we see a lot of people. We see each other at trade shows, and we talk about business, and we maybe get past the weather, but not about where folks have come from, and who knows, maybe you'll get some better deals. People will be like, "Wow, I know Tomas's story, so
Good luck with
I'm
that.
gonna give him a better price."
Yeah, that's probably not going to be the case, but no, I mean it is, and the show is about, like I say, friends talking with each other about life experiences. Ideally, we're hoping people, when they get a chance to listen in, they take something from somebody's story, right, and they can relate to it, right? Because, like you said, we all have stories, right? We all and most everything, at least for me, and a lot of people I talk to, and I know with you for sure, it's like it's really those hard things, those difficult times when it seems like it's not a great place to be. It's those things that inform you and give you the tools and stuff you need to do to have success later down. That's the stuff you lean into down the road that really help you, make a difference. Or it certainly has for me. And I know from, like I say, just talking to you, that's been the case. But yeah, I hate it. I do think we are up against the wall on time.
We're up against the wall.
And Tomas, thank you very much. You got full schedule planned here for OPS.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good show so far.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Good speakers.
Very good.
They're talking about the right things.
Nice.
This is one of the shows where people talk and they bring conversations to the table, eye openers about the future and sustainability and waste and things that we should really be paying attention to. I enjoy.
That's great.
I really enjoy it.
That's good. All right. Thanks, guys. See you all in a bit. Thanks, Tomas.
Up next, another episode filled with insightful conversations from the forefront of the produce world.
A ton of great people to talk to. Our first has joined us right now.
Who has joined us? Pray tell.
Kim Shakal from Equifruit. Did I pronounce it right?
That's right.
Okay, perfect.
Hello, Kim.
Hello.
How-
Nice
how-
to see you both in person.
Nice to see you
Yeah.
as well. I mentioned earlier on the intro, it's like you're a known entity in the business, right?
Oh.
With your creative marketing skills and putting badass bananas on the map.
That's right.
So knew about you, but didn't really know you until we got into this. So this is really exciting for me, and I don't think you didn't have.
We never met, no.
No,
Thanks for being here, by the way.
that's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All the way from Canada?
All the way from sunny Canada. Yeah.
Wow.
Sunny Canada.
Yeah, based in Montreal.
Awesome.
So Ed was talking a little bit about the weather. It's a little cooler here than where he's from out of South Texas, and certainly for me out of Tucson. But what's the weather like in Montreal?
Montreal weather right now can be all over the map. I left Montreal a couple days ago when it was just a whole week of rain coming ahead, flood warnings, really hot and humid. But the week before was crisp and cool mornings, and then going to, like 100 degrees in the afternoon. So it's all over the place.
Wow.
You really never know what you're going to get in Montreal between May could be snow, or you could be ordering an air conditioning unit. It's really a...
It's like a box of chocolates.
Yeah, exactly.
So snow in May. So what is the latest it will snow there?
Sometimes May.
May's kind of the latest time
It
frame.
might. It might. You never know. I mean, usually by the end of April, you're done. You're ready to get into spring. But there are surprises some years.
And when you get back to winter, how soon does that start back? Or it's
You're
snowing.
in
When
it.
can it snow
You're-
again? I
You're
guess?
really in it usually by December. December is when it'll snow.
that's-
It might start in November too.
Okay.
Yeah. we've had some years where November you're already like buying your ski passes and getting ready to go.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Pretty long winter.
Very long winter. Yeah, it's brutal. Yeah, it's a really, really long winter. But thankfully, working in bananas, I can go and visit that nice 58-degree weather from time to time and warm up.
So bananas. All right. So is that how you got into produce? I mean, what's your trajectory? How did you get here?
I do not have a produce background whatsoever. I've worked in sales and marketing since I was a teenager. It's something that has always appealed to me. I was, going door to door as a little kid, selling candies, selling strings, selling bracelets, setting up shops at school. So I was always very entrepreneurial from a young age. I was actually, headed towards a degree thinking about marketing, thinking about communications and advertising. That was an industry that really captured my interest. But I ended up studying psychology. I ended up doing a year of classical French cooking, kind of just following my gut to what I found really interesting and pertinent. And then I ended up in produce from, going through a couple different doors. I went into marketing in the spa and beauty industry, how to do direct marketing and build a new clientele for the spa and beauty industry. Did that for years. And then after my culinary degree, I thought it would be nice to get into catering and event planning. So I had about 7 or 8 years there. And
low stress.
Oh, so what?
So you're into low stress industry.
Yeah, right? Low stress. You know what? I love that industry. It's super high stress, but at the end of the day, you want to delight your customer and keep everybody happy. And when you anticipate all the things that can go wrong and be ready for them and have that solution on site and keep your customer happy, it's such a great feeling. And when you train your staff to deliver above and beyond the expectation of the customer and everybody's happy, it's a great feeling. So I've always just been into marketing, into sales. Sales is just in my blood. And I ended up falling into bananas kind of by chance. Our president, she bought the company back in 2013.
Okay.
And a year later, our kids were in the same daycare, and I ended up seeing a fair trade mark on her lapel one day. And it just kickstarted this discussion.
Oh my gosh.
And she said, oh yeah, I work in fair trade bananas. And I'd heard about coffee, fair trade coffee or chocolate, or maybe what comes to mind when you think about fair trade. I didn't know a fair trade banana existed or why it needed to exist. So she sent me home with some books. And I said, if you want your business to grow, hire me. I'm good at my job. I'm very relentless. When you give me a mission, I'm just going to go for it 100%. Yeah. I'm not embarrassed to show up in yellow Crocs.
So I love the shoes. The Crocs are awesome.
Yeah.
I need to see if they got. I can get some squash Crocs for sunfed. So I think that would be awesome.
Yeah.
And maybe a green one, a yellow one on each.
Do it.
Foot, so.
I'm telling you, all the ladies especially, they passing by and they're all uncomfortable in their shoes and their backs hurt, and we're just living our best life.
I see the banana Croc pin too.
Yeah, we had those custom made. Our Equifruit banana, and then we've got our shark gibbets too.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So
I've
when
got
did you?
a drawer full of them at home.
What's that?
My daughter has
the Crocs.
5 pairs of Crocs and
all these
probably
gibbets.
10 times too many
Yeah.
to fit in all those pairs. So
You should get her some of these. She would love.
I have some that I've gotten for Christmas that aren't even open.
You don't have any.
Come and see us at booth 900. I've got extra ones.
Oh,
for her.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm there.
they're
You're
custom too.
I'm there.
So.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you get so your friend, lady that your kids are in daycare, you go to work for. When was this?
I'm in my 9th year now with Equifruit. So it was 2015 that we started talking about working together. 2014, and then started in 2015 on a more full-time basis.
And so, had you been so there's some oddities, differences, right? I mean, you got a shark. In fact, we had the shark in earlier, guys. Sorry you didn't get to see the sharks out rolling around at the show here, but you have a shark is kind of your mascot, I guess, if you will.
Yeah, sharks are very heavily integrated into our branding. Basically, we are an importer and marketer of bananas. 100% of what we import is fair trade certified, and that's what sets us apart in the industry. We're trying to change the banana industry and redistribute value along the banana supply chain. And that's a pretty scary message for retailers at times, to think about disrupting something that has been on autopilot for decade after decade after decade.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have fine-tuned our messaging and really made a big change back in 2020 and decided to go all in with something new and fresh that was going to convert the conventional customer and get people to pay attention to us in a new and fresh way. So we sharks became a big part of our branding, and we're just continuing to fine-tune it. Whatever's sticky, whatever's memorable. I have people that text me and send me messages on a weekly basis. Just this week, our logistics provider out of the Port of Philly, he was at IKEA, he saw bananas on something, he had to take a picture and send it to us. I'll have people in a Croc store and they'll send me pictures of like the newest Crocs that are out there. We landed a speaking gig at Harvard this year because the sharks in our branding caught the professor's eye, and her husband studies coral reefs and she teaches a course on social sustainability. So it's working for us. We just keep doing crazy things, and it kind of lets people have fun in a way that they didn't expect to in the industry. And I think that it's making people smile. And then when they learn about the fact that we want to have positive impact for our farmer partners and that it is changing things, it's kickstarting the discussion along the industry, I think that there's this kind of groundswell of support for Equifruit and what we're trying to accomplish as a brand.
Well,
Go ahead.
we just took a photo with the shark earlier, and
Yeah.
I knew we'd hear more about it, but I'm kind of surprised that I didn't even ask like why there was a shark.
You didn't even think to ask
a shark
about
Zeppelin, mini Zeppelin in our studio here, but hey, I figured we'd hear more about it, so that's interesting.
Yeah, well, and what's also interesting, you talk about fair trade, and obviously some of us wonks in the business very familiar with it, but what you guys just real briefly a little bit what you guys are trying to do and what exactly does fair trade mean, and how is that changing the banana industry? Let's go with that.
Right. So bananas shouldn't be so cheap. That's the problem that we're trying to solve. And we can see prices fluctuate on other commodities, especially over the last 3 years with the pandemic. Now we're talking about inflation, possible recession. We still see bananas staying at the same price, but we've seen all this fluctuation, and we expect that fluctuation across categories. That's really the problem that we're trying to solve. For us, we could, as a brand, do our own thing and decide what does sustainability look like for us. Instead, we wanted to partner with the most rigorous fair trade certification out there. So that's Fair Trade International, Fair
Okay.
Trade in one word. You'll see that same logo on a pint of Ben & Jerry's next time you enjoy that. And being certified by Fair Trade means that Equifruit is certified, and it also means that all of our farmer partners in Peru, Ecuador, Colombia, Nicaragua, and Mexico are all certified by Fair Trade International. The foundation of fair trade is a fair price to the farm for FOB for that box of bananas on a weekly basis in a year-long contract. These are small business owners, and they need to have stability of income. They need to be able to get loans from the banks to build their businesses. So what Fair Trade does is they work with each country to determine what is the minimum fair trade price per commodity, whether it's conventional or organic, and that's the price that is meant to reflect the cost of sustainable production. To my knowledge, Fair Trade International is the only certifying body that reviews that price annually to make sure that that still is where it should be, or they adjust accordingly. So that is that base price. We also have to pay something called a fair trade social premium, which is $1 per case, which has to then be reinvested in projects that have positive economic, environmental, or social impact. And what's really unique about the system is that we as the importer have no input at all on how that fair trade money is spent. That is decided democratically by the farms, by the workers. They know their needs best. And we get a full audit at the end of the year because everything is audited by a third party called FlowCert. And we know how that money was spent so that we can work with our retail partners and tell those cool stories in the sustainability report. And of course, beyond the price, there are a host of standards that have to be respected. There's a dark side of agriculture, especially in the global south. So ensuring gender equity, no forced child labor, things like that all fall within those fair trade standards.
Are there any triggers that would initiate a review less than a year? in less than a year? I mean, you mentioned annual reviews.
Mm-hmm. So they will audit annually. And I think that beyond the annual audit, there wouldn't be anything that would trigger specifically. I guess if there was any type of whistleblowing in the area, if they saw something, then that could fast track an audit for sure.
Well, I think he means maybe like
economic
fuel
conditions.
prices. Let's say fuel prices go through the roof, which we've seen, or you have currency devaluation that or goes the other way. Either way.
Yeah. So I mean, the way that it's built is that we have to respect that fair trade price year long, no matter what's happening with the market. If the market price on bananas were to magically go above that fair trade price, which I've never seen that happen, then the farmers do have the right to negotiate above that fixed price. But it's meant to be that safety net all year round. Yeah, and I mean, you would not believe the prices that I see on bananas. I have different banana exporters throughout the year that will text me or send me a WhatsApp message and say, I've got spot pricing on, conventional bananas, $2 a case, or, when the war broke out, like the quarter of Ecuadorian market was going to Russia and Ukraine. That market was lost overnight. It had a really, really huge ripple effect on supply and demand. And so that's really why we do what we do. We're, as a brand, we know we're not going to achieve that global fair trade banana domination on our own. That's really our mission. We're there to encourage the big multis to also rethink beyond the sustainability commitments that they have made, that they continue to make. Let's go down to what the core of sustainability is, which is paying farmers fairly. If a farmer is not guaranteed a sustainable income, then the soccer ball doesn't change their life, or the school doesn't change their life. As a business owner, you need to be able to feel good and feel like your work is valued and dignified. And so that's something that we're really excited to do with our partners.
That's good. That's awesome. And you're right. I mean, across agriculture, it's that's a struggle no matter what the commodity is, no matter what's going on. And in the U.S., we don't realize how affordable things are comparatively. I spent quite a few years in the banana business myself, and realistically, the prices haven't changed much from when I was doing it 20 some odd years ago. And realistically, if you look back even 30, 40 years ago, retail prices aren't really much different.
No, and I was just chatting with somebody this morning. We were just talking about how, because often when people meet somebody from Equifruit and they're fascinated by how we're doing what we're doing, and we talk about how this problem is so big. It's a really large global issue. Only 4% of the global market is traded under fair trade terms. There's a huge opportunity for growth. And when we think about at the retail level, everything that retailers are doing to innovate these days and to meet the consumer's needs, who we don't have as much time. You often have two people working in a household. We're willing to pay for convenience. We still want to sacrifice quality or flavor, but we're reworking our budgets. We're eating out more despite what's happening because it's just the reality of life. We need that convenience. And then when we're proposing to come in with a fair trade banana program, raise the price a little bit, it'll cost the consumer anywhere between $8 to $10 more per year. It's nothing, it's the cost of I spent that much on, Crocs are $50.
I was gonna say, they're more than $8.
Crocs are $50, right? That gibbet is like $10, right?
Yeah.
I can either support fair trade banana farmers for a year, or I can have a shark in my shoe.
Yeah. So,
Gotta have a shark in your shoe.
yeah. So, well, what do you do? All right, so that's the business side, that's the fruit side. That's how you got into this.
Yeah.
You obviously have a passion for marketing.
Yes.
What else? Are you a runner? Are you a tennis player? Are you any hobbies, sports wise or non-sports? Or
It sounds like skiing is probably a big part of it.
I don't love the cold, and I don't love the heat. I love strolling in the breeze of the spring and the fall.
Okay.
No, when I'm not injured, I do love to cycle. I love yoga, Pilates, and keeping in shape, whatever that looks like. I have 3 young kids, so that's my workout these days is mostly shopping at Costco.
Hey there.
All my heavy lifting.
Speed shopping?
Oh no, I'll take my time. Yeah, I'll take my time. I love to go to the grocery stores. I love our industry. I love fresh produce, and I'm really curious about grocery stores generally. Whenever we're on holiday, you know, it's just known that I just have to pop in and do a couple stops.
Yeah. So I think
We're with you.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
I think that must
Yeah.
when you're in this business, that becomes part of your. I mean, you're passionate about it through and through.
For
You
sure.
know, in my family, it's like anytime we're in a grocery store, I mean, I make a beeline to the produce department to take a look around and
Yeah.
see what everybody else is doing as
Yeah.
well as us. So
Yeah, it's always fun. I mean, and I love cooking. You know, I said earlier, I studied cooking for a year. That's a real passion of mine. I, in the middle of COVID, treated myself to a Traeger grill, so got into smoking. My goal for this year is to really perfect brisket. So I love meat and produce.
Wow.
Yeah.
we
They
should
smoke
talk.
brisket in Canada?
Well, apparently they do now.
Yes.
They have sharks with bananas, so that's
right.
Eating
you know,
brisket.
brisket in Canada is not that far off.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, we definitely need to talk. I mean,
There's a couple brisket places in Texas if you ever
Oh my
get
gosh.
away.
where's
Let me
that?
know.
Where would you recommend brisket in Texas?
Well, oddly enough, the place that I would recommend is one that I haven't been to yet, but I have faith that it's great.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
Okay, and their marketing is great. It's called the Burnt Bean in Seguin, Texas.
Okay, sign me up.
Yeah, and
Nice.
it's a hybrid Tex-Mex barbecue, but it looks phenomenal.
Oh,
like it's
man.
not gas station Tex-Mex barbecue. It looks like they do it right. I
Yeah.
honestly haven't been there yet.
Well, I cannot wait to go to Texas. It's a state that I haven't had the pleasure of visiting yet, but I very much center travel around eating. My husband and I went to Mexico earlier this year, and I mean that's just we chose the destination based on the cuisine.
Oh wow.
Because as Canadians, we can travel to Cuba or Dominican Republic for a better price, but
Mhm.
the pleasure of enjoying delicious food is worth.
Now, where'd you
You
go
know.
in Mexico?
We were about an hour from Cancun in
Oh,
Playa
okay.
del Carmen.
So
Yeah.
Mexico City's got some amazing restaurants.
Do you have any lobster tacos?
I did not.
Mm.
No.
That's the place to get them.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then I'll just have to go again.
So how you doing on the brisket? How you done so far?
I have not attempted it yet, but
No?
this is my goal for. I've been
Can you
doing it.
buy a whole brisket up there?
Yeah, you
They
can.
actually sell those up there?
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. I can crush a pork shoulder, and
Mhm.
I've done a couple like really long slow cooks on the pork shoulder, and I'm just easing into it. But I mean, I watch all the shows, all the cooking shows like Top Chef and all the fun stuff online, and I know that there are quite a bit of nuances when it comes to brisket. Like I remember learning, I think you have to go for the left side of the brisket and not the right, because that part of the animal actually doesn't get as much exercise, oddly, and so it's going to be
Wow,
a more
never heard
tender
that.
meat. Yeah, it's a thing. It's
I
a
learned
whole
something
science.
today. I'm
Yeah.
gonna look
I mean,
that
there's
up.
a flat and a point, which are different. One is more fatty than the other.
Yeah, but apparently the side of the animal that it came from is more coveted with the brisket connoisseurs, which
Wow.
I hope to be one day.
Well, it is all about time.
Yes.
But we're in California, especially this part of California.
Oh, I know where you're going.
What, tri-tip?
Tri-tip.
Yeah.
So he always goes
It's-
to tri-tip.
well, because it blows me
Oh,
away
it
that
does. Nobody knows about it back outside of
anywhere
California.
else. Yeah, I mean, I went to the butcher store where I usually buy meat, and I asked for a tri-tip, and they looked at me like I had 3 heads.
Yeah.
And then they called like the head butcher at home to ask him, hey, what's a tri-tip? And it's a sirloin roast is basically what it is,
Yeah.
but very popular here in California, especially like from here down to
Right,
Santa
right.
Maria.
No, they have them in Arizona. In fact, I've gotten
really?
to where instead of cooking so tri-tip, usually it's much smaller. So I got to where I smoke those
Okay.
versus doing a full brisket, because
Yeah,
you got to have a few folks if you're going to be eating a brisket.
for sure.
But yeah, time and do you enjoy a cerveza every now and then, a beer?
Mm-hmm.
Do you? Oh, that's the key.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the dream
24
combo.
hours and 24 beers. You're all set.
24 beers.
They have
I
those everywhere. You don't have to go to Mexico for that.
I think I can take a fraction of the 24 there. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know. Well, don't. You can skimp on the beer, but
Yeah.
don't skip on the time for the brisket. I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
It's slow and cool. That's how
Oh,
you
yeah.
want to cook them.
Oh yeah, for sure. My dream is actually to get like one of those full spits. You know, I'll see like the whole. I don't know if you're Costco shoppers, but they'll sell in Canada like a whole lamb,
Mm-hmm.
and I've got to get that. I don't know where you defrost this lamb or like the whole process.
So my next hobby. Hopefully, I've been watching this guy on Instagram, and he's a butcher, but he's teaching people how to break down their own
Oh,
primals.
fun. Yeah.
And
I
so they
would
buy the
love to study
primals,
that.
the big package,
Yeah.
and cut it, break it all down.
Yeah.
That's what I want to start doing.
Yeah, I have said that before too, that if I could go back and do, another year of school, I would just study butchery.
Wow.
I really, really enjoyed that butchery section of school.
So I'm a hunter, and
Okay.
I've already told Craig this story, but not last year, but 2 years ago. And this is not the first time it's happened, but we just happened to have the good fortune of hunting with 3 retired butchers.
Oh my goodness.
And watching them
Oh wow.
work was a real treat.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really something.
They were actually 3 guys. They worked for Safeway for like 40-something years
Really?
each, almost 40, 50 years.
That's handy to have.
Oh my gosh. They had their aprons and
Yeah.
they have like a plastic chain with the thing hanging,
Right.
their knives.
And like the sharpest knives on the planet, right?
Crazy. Yeah, it was pretty neat.
Yeah.
So you're not a hunter, are you?
No, I'm not a hunter. I've never hunted. I don't know if I would be comfortable hunting, but I can grocery shop like it's nobody's business.
Well, like I say, Ed is definitely he's got an annual trip that he goes off
Okay.
and roughs it in the woods for a couple of weeks. So
Yeah.
that is his thing.
I should probably do that at some point. Add it to my bucket list.
You mentioned bucket list.
Yeah.
I don't know what is on your bucket list that
Hmm.
you want to see come to fruition. What's like top of your list?
Well, aside from changing the banana industry, which I know is going to take, it's gonna add some wrinkles to this face. I mean, I really would love to continue to travel and see the world and eat authentic cooking and street food all around the place. My boss, the president of the company, her and I have like dreamt about going to Southeast Asia and just going on like a eating tour. My husband's allergic to all the nuts, so we can't do that.
Right.
That's like a part of the world that would probably kill him. So she'd be a stand-in for that dream bucket list.
Yeah, but that's
Yeah,
cool. Yeah.
yeah.
So now would you do a show along with that? You think do while you guys go and do your eating tour?
Maybe
Tie that
maybe.
into the whole equifruit shark.
That could be cool.
So you watch a lot of cooking shows.
I
There's
do.
a series on Netflix. It's
Mhm.
all about tacos.
Yes.
So from all over Mexico and how they
Yes.
vary amongst different regions.
Yes.
It's really, really cool.
I've watched that.
Have you?
Yeah.
I enjoyed
Yeah.
it.
And Chef's Table. Chef's Table
That's
did
a
a
good
whole
one.
thing about different taco
Mhm.
chefs. Yeah, I love it.
Mm.
I love I love the way that food can surprise you and delight you and be such a wonderful experience. And just the passion that goes into it. And then tying that back to produce, even without any preparation, just the way that nature can produce all these beautiful flavors and all the hard work and love that goes into, growing a banana or growing a tomato or growing a berry. And when they do it right and that flavor is there, it's such a wonderful eating experience.
Right.
And because it's just not manipulated anyway, it's even more magical that it just came from the earth.
So do you have a favorite recipe, if you do have one, that highlights bananas like as a savory component to a meal?
Oh, okay. Not savory.
Okay.
No, I can't say I've delved much into the savory banana cooking. I don't love to bake, but I'll do it because I'm in the banana business. So you can imagine how many ripe bananas I have on my counter in my life. So I do a lot of unmeasured baking, and I've become quite good at making
Banana bread.
banana bread. But
Banana pudding.
with all the dietary restrictions in my home, one of my sons is allergic to everything under the sun. So making like vegan, we can have gluten. Thank God we can have gluten. But yeah, just messing around with that. Other good fair trade ingredients like chocolate and sugar and whatnot.
You might need like a separate building for your kitchen
Yeah.
so you can cook and enjoy.
Oh, it's so funny. Whenever I go on work travel, like the first thing I'm doing at the airport is loading up on all the nuts and all the things that I can't have in my everyday life.
Right.
Wild.
Yeah, totally wild. But you know what though? If you lived, there's no butter in my fridge, right? Can we
Wow.
just commiserate over that for a
Man,
moment?
wow,
So
that-
like,
That's tough.
I couldn't
maybe
make it
that's why
without butter.
my bucket list is a little boring. I just want to go. I just want to be unleashed
go
so
eat
that I can
somewhere.
go
You're just gonna eat, yeah, freely eat.
Maybe once I'm like fed, then I can start dreaming about like jumping out of a airplane or something.
Well, look, we are getting the wrap sign.
Okay.
It has been a great pleasure.
Before we go, I have a couple little treats
Oh,
for you. Okay.
We like treats.
Uh-oh.
I just wanted to thank you for having me on today. Now you can open this kit later or
Okay.
now, whatever you'd like. But this is our Banana Badass starter kit. We're getting people set up. For years, we've been telling people to become Banana Badasses.
Uh-huh.
But this just gives them a couple of tools to make sure that it happens for real. And then I've got these little treats for you too, for your future,
Are these tattoos?
podcasting.
Oh, now
Are
we
these
go.
tattoos?
We've got a full tattoo sleeve in there for you.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
so
wanted to
that
put it on my
if you're
face.
not ready to commit,
Put it on your face.
I was gonna put it on my face.
Good for you.
if you're not quite ready to commit, but there you go. You've got the Equifruit
Thank you
mug,
so much.
the coveted mug.
Very
So
thoughtful.
these, yeah. Look at
This is the shark. This is where the shark comes in.
Yeah.
Banana Badass.
And when you're ready to represent, we've got you some
Wow.
Equifruit swag.
Tell you what, we
Yeah.
are swagged up.
So we're at the show today, booth 900. We're going to have a shark drone above. Anything we can do to get you to stop and pay attention to us. It's pretty obvious.
No, that's great. I mean, you guys,
The
seriously.
drone, I called it a zeppelin.
Yeah.
earlier. That was a little outdated, I think.
But what you guys are doing, like I say, both from the fair trade angle and trying to do right by the farmers, certainly it's commendable. Exciting to watch what you're doing from a marketing standpoint. And,
Thank you.
like I say, and for me, it's certainly a pleasure to have you here with us today and get a chance to learn a little bit more about you and
Thank you.
your passion for cooking and your desire to just someday eat just wildly any kind of crazy food like
Nuts and butter.
like butter.
Nuts and
Get
butter.
you some nut and butter.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But no, Kim, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the gifts.
My pleasure.
We
Thanks
for being with
will
us.
look forward to seeing everybody. Be sure and stop by. That's booth 900.
That's right.
Booth 900. Be sure and stop by there. Look, if you're watching this later, as we put this out later, check out their website. Check them out. How can they find you guys online? That's
Yeah, so you'll go to equifruit.com, EQUIFruit.com, and we're on all social platforms at Equifruit. And we have hilarious and bold content every week, keeping it fresh, keeping it really culturally relevant.
excellent.
Yeah,
Excellent.
it's super fun.
We appreciate it. Thank you very much.
We're going to take a little break.
Yes, let's do that. I think.